Hi, and welcome to Tech Talk, the Banker's video series on everything fintech. I'm Joy Macknight, Technology Editor at The Banker, and I'm here with Gonçalo de Vasconcelo, CEO of SyndicateRoom. We're here at Innovate Finance Global Summit. Thanks for joining us today, Gonçalo. We interviewed you last year at the 2016 Innovate Finance Global Summit. What has been the milestones for SyndicateRoom over the past year?
Yeah, a lot has happened with SyndicateRoom and actually with outside of SyndicateRoom. So one of the things we did last year was announce our effectively our expansion into capital markets together with the London Stock Exchange. So we started doing IPOs and placings both on AIM market and the main market. Soon after that, of course, the dreaded B word came along, and with a referendum and the very real, effectively, preparation for Brexit occurred. But we also launched an EIS fund, which effectively...
Which is an enterprise investment?
Yes, so EIS stands for Enterprise Investment Scheme, which is an amazing tax relief for private investors or UK private investors that have income tax in the UK and so on. And it's a fund that co-invests with a platform, creating a very diversified portfolio of at least 28 investments.
So how does the Fund 28, how does that actually really work?
Yeah, so the Fund 28 is the first ever passive tracker in an early stage investment fund. And what it does, it's very cleverly uses the data from the platform and effectively measures the investors' sentiment and see how many investors are interested in specific opportunities. And then depending on that sentiment, it invests into that company or not. So it might not invest at all if there's no interest by investors into that opportunity, or it might invest a normal amount, or actually if it sees that there's a lot of interest into that investment opportunity, it can go up to 3 times as much.
Okay, and you did an investor sentiment survey earlier this year. What were the main findings?
It was really interesting. So we surveyed 1,000 high net worth individuals and retail investors, and it was really interesting to see the differential between how different people from not only different backgrounds but mainly from different ages interact with their finances. So wealthier, older individuals tend to be advised, and they tend to be very well informed about their investment decisions as a result. Then you have the millennials, who are very well informed as well and really interested in early stage investment, just like the older, wealthier generation. But they get all their source of information is not really financial advisors or wealth managers, is the internet. And that's where they just absolutely assimilate information. And then you have people in the middle that actually, you can tell that they are less aware of early stage finance, and particularly things like the Enterprise Investment Scheme tax relief, or EIS. And you can tell they're somewhere in the between. They're not really advised, but they're not so sort of technology savvy as the millennials. And that makes it really interesting to see how it's going to evolve throughout time.
So you mentioned Brexit. How do you think that's going to impact investor sentiment?
Well, from my view, there have been so far 2 different parts. One was the referendum, and for many of us, the shock of effectively the UK starting to prepare to leave the European Union. And then, of course, the Article 50 having been triggered, and effectively starting the 2-year period that now the UK has to negotiate the exit. So a lot of it at the beginning was just the pure uncertainty about what's going to happen with the financial markets, what's going to happen with immigration, what's going to happen with many, many, many other things. And now with Article 15 having been triggered, hopefully we'll start to see much more clarity on things like how is the UK going to treat people like, for example, myself. I'm Portuguese, based in the UK, been in the UK for 12 years, paying tax in the UK. How are they going to treat me and others like me? And the same thing with, of course, with British people living abroad and making investments in the UK. So now I really welcome that clarity starting to hopefully being drip-fed effectively as they have it, hopefully, because that's what investors like, is to know where things are going. In times of uncertainty, investors always move into very safe options, and that's not good for innovation.
Okay, and what are your plans for the next 12 months?
Our plans for 12 months, mostly secret, I have to say, but I can share a thing or two. So of course we have Fund 28, which now deploying alongside the platform and effectively leveraging investors' capital for good quality companies. What that means is that for good quality companies, we become an absolutely no-brainer to raise finance through. And therefore, we are expecting quite a lot of very good quality companies, hopefully coming to us and to raise finance their EIS and Series A and so on funding rounds. So that's one of them. The other one is, of course, preparing for what might start sort of trickling through from Brexit and see how we're going to react. We have passported to the European Union. We work across the Europe. So how is that going to impact us? So we need to, we have plan B and see what's going to happen. Hopefully we don't need a plan B, but you never know. So you need, it's what I was talking just earlier about uncertainty, and you have to be more cautious because you don't know what's coming up. So that's part of our plans for 2017 as well, but also to keep on growing. We've been growing really fast. I mean, where we were 12 months ago when we spoke here at this event 12 months ago, and where we are now is a world apart. And hopefully, in 12 months' time, we'll have another chat of this, and I'll have plenty of things to talk about, and again, the same sort of level of growth.
That's great. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for having me.